The boroughs are New York City. The burbs are everywhere else. Real estate is the ultimate game of risk and reward. It's the biggest investment most people ever make. Fortunes are made over a lifetime and lost in a day. And we're not playing with monopoly money. How do you stay ahead? Who's buying? Who's selling? And why? What do they know? We want the truth. You need an edge. Boroughs and Burbs is your secret weapon, giving you the insider knowledge and strategies you need to succeed in the high-stakes world of real estate. From Palm Beach to Palm Springs, Manhattan to Malibu, we press the experts to expose the pain, find the deals, and occasionally predict the future. That's Boroughs and Burbs, Thursdays, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. Because everyone can make money in real estate.
Welcome, everybody. Boroughs and Burbs, Season 4, Episode 142. I am excited about today's episode. Oh, wait, I got the wrong screen up. Today, we've got Steve Shull of Performance Coaching. But before I begin, let me just thank my co-host. Let's see. Nope, is that the right one? There we go. Boroughs and Burbs. You can see all the episodes on our Apple podcast channel. I want to thank Grace Farms for sponsoring today's show. You can buy their coffees and teas at sharegracefarms.com. Today, this is Steve Shull. You see right there, Boroughs and Burbs, episode 84. He's been on the program before. We're so glad to have him back. Since that time, he's got 3 books out. We talked about the full fee agent. I'm hoping to talk to him today about the team playbook and the real estate is not rocket science book. I want to talk to him about performance coaching, his business. Find your perfect coach. That was confusing. I thought he was the perfect coach, but nope. There he is with 8 coaches, and these are some of the specialties that they work on. And we're going to get into some of those today. So without further ado, Roberto, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm very excited. This is amazing.
And where are you?
I'm on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, as I always am.
All right. Hello, Steve Shull. How's it going?
It is going great. And it's really nice to be back here again. Love the video up front.
I feel like we can't get enough of you. I have to say, after your last episode broke records for, it's clearly a topic that real estate agents, are hungry for. Some of the things that you talk about are commission. Since we last met, I think the whole world of commissions has been thrown topsy-turvy. Let's start there. What are your thoughts on the news breaking on commissions, the NAR lawsuit, and how agents should be thinking about and feeling about commissions lately?
The bottom line on all of this, it's really an opportunity for the better agents to get a pay raise. That's what this really is. And that's just not hype. That's reality. And what I think is really going to happen here, if we take a step back, if we look at the system as it is and was, the 5 to 6% that was built into most markets, I think that system really favored the lesser skilled agent and penalized the better skilled agent. And I think what you're going to find right now, that's going to get reversed. I think agents are going to be able to charge whatever they want to charge. They just need to be able to back it up. And from what I see, most agents still have their head in the sand when it comes to this. They're just waiting and waiting and waiting. There's nothing to wait for. Things are changing right now. And many agents are going to have to learn how to have a very, very different conversation with both their sellers and their buyers. And I'm happy to get into any of that today.
I agree with you. I think that this is an opportunity. I mean, there's a paradigm shift. This is an opportunity for the best to get paid, and for those who can't make it in the business to get out. But that's easier said than done. I think that when I talk to Scott Hobbs builds houses, and I say, Scott, you're the best at what you do. You build houses that nobody else in this town, nobody else maybe in this county is capable of building. I'll bet you could charge whatever you want, Scott Hobbs. And Scott says, nope, at a certain point, they just I my margins got to look like everybody else's margins. I mean, I don't know if you want to get into it, Scott, but I just use somebody who's not a real estate agent to sort of illustrate the point that there's an anxiety of sticking your head above the waterline, above what everybody else is doing. How should I feel about being different from what everybody else is doing?
Well, how I would respond to that, every single agent that I work with who charges 6, and that's going to change and we'll get into that, who has charged 6, keeping 3.5 on the listing side and offering out 2.5 on the buy side. Every single one of those agents works in a market where the top agents are charging 5 or less. So it's not like they're getting 6 and keeping 3.5 in a market where everyone else is doing that. No, they're doing it in a market where most top agents are charging 5 and some are even charging a lot less. Conversely, I have agents already. I've been teaching buyer representation agreements for a long period of time. I've always believed that if you were working with a buyer, you needed to have that agreement signed. This is not new in my coaching practice. And I already have agents that are charging 2.5. Some are charging 3. They're getting paid by the buyer already, no more than 0.5%. And from where I sit and what I see and what I hear, I truly believe buyers will be willing to pay a certain amount if they have to. I've already seen they're willing to pay 0.5%. I wouldn't be surprised if they're willing to pay 1%. Whether they're going to pay more than that, I don't know. However, they may be required to pay the whole boat. That card is still out there. Whether the sellers are only going to pay the listing agent, the buyers are only going to pay the buyer's agent. That is one of the possibilities that we may see. Just the other day, I had one of my clients get a buyer agreement signed on a $20 million buyer at 3%. So, I know all the arguments about how you can't do it, especially in the high end. And there's a very specific reason why commissions are what they are in the high end, which is lower. And the reason for that, there's a good reason. There's no agent in the high end that I know of, or very few, let's put it that way, very few that ask for a full fee. They all start lower and they'll go really low. They'll go as low as 0.5% on the listing side. And who's that on? That's on the agent, not the client. And they're not going to 0.5% because the client demands it. They're going to 0.5% because the client asks. Big difference.
Are you talking 0.5% from 3 down to 0.5%?
Oh, absolutely. I was dealing with one of my clients today. We were talking about $150 million listing that she has. I would not be surprised if she's working for 0.5%. May not be the case. I would not be surprised.
That's super ultra luxury. I mean, that's right. That's an anomaly of the conversation a little bit.
A little,
I think, you know, it's
a little
interesting.
bit though. However, it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon even, 5 million, 10 million for agents to drop down to 4 or less, working for 2% or 1.5%. That is not uncommon.
Steve, are you working with any like large numbers of people that are in Manhattan? Because I think, you know, Manhattan seems to be different. 26 years ago, when I was getting licensed, I remember that in the class, they were like, this is true everywhere in the country except for in New York. And they're like, this is true everywhere in New York except for in Manhattan, you know, and things like that. And so far, you know, after all this lawsuit and this, you know, the practical application of the way we've been conducting business has really been much ado about nothing. It's all the same. We don't do anything any different. Like we're not like I don't when I go out with buyers, I don't necessarily have a buyer's agreement and this and that, which I know that you say that I should, but I've never been, maybe once I've gotten fooled by a buyer in my entire career, but I've just never had that agreement signed. But still, it's not like I'm collecting my fee. The seller seems to always be paying the fee here, like always. And it's just, it's not changed. The conversation hasn't changed here. So I'm just curious if you have any experience with what's happening here.
All right, you're going to hate me. It's okay.
I'm sure.
All right, Manhattan is my second biggest market. So I deal with a lot of agents in Manhattan. And in Manhattan, you know, it's been 6% and agents split it 3 and 3. Why? Because that's what you have to do. Well, guess what? All of a sudden, maybe that's not the case. I already have clients in Manhattan who, you know, have been 6, splitting it evenly, are now keeping 3.5 on the listing side. They've already started to do it and offering out 2.5 on the buy side. And what I see in Manhattan, I get the reports. I have one of my clients sent me a report last week showing how things have not really changed year to date versus where they were a year ago in terms of commissions being offered. Wake up, everybody. Wake up. Change is coming. Change is coming. And just because everybody has their head in the sand doesn't mean it's not going to change. I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago, Sotheby's meeting of top agents. And one of the agents, top agent Manhattan, talking about, you know, wanting to protect the agent on the other side, representing the buyer, you know, based on her reputation in the business, and wanted to hold the line on 3%. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, because change is coming. And in most markets already there's been a movement from 2.5 towards 2. That movement is taking place. Now, whether that's going to be a tidal wave or not, it's too early to tell. I would not be surprised in any way, shape, or form. And I just want to say something up front. I have no ability to predict the future. So I'm not sitting here telling you that I can predict anything. What I do have is every day I'm listening to conversations every day in real time from agents across the country. So I get to hear in real time what's happening. And what's happening is there is a movement towards 2%. That is happening. And there is a decoupling of the fee from, you know, the listing side and the buy side. And this idea of trying to protect the buyer agent to make sure they're going to get paid, noble as it might be, you're not going to win that battle. You're not going to win that battle. And do you really, on the listing side, do you want to be the last one to die in the war? Anyway, I'll leave you on that note. I don't know if I addressed your your question or not.
No, yeah, I hear you.
I probably should have set it up better by instead of leaping into commissions, but commissions is what everybody's thinking about. It is the title of your book, The Full Fee Agent. But I want to back up for a moment and say that you can charge a full fee, possibly 6%, assumes that it's a relationship selling. Nobody ever showed up and said, and farmed and send out 10,000 postcards. The phone rings and they say, how much? And you say 6%. I think that there's some assumptions going in that we learned about in the Full Fee Agent, where we talk about relationship, we talk about trust, we talk about tactical empathy. So could you go over some of the building blocks that have to occur before I ask for 6%?
All right. Thank you for bringing that up. First of all, my number one passion as a real estate coach is getting agents paid their full fee. I was an agent, married to someone who was an agent. I owned a real estate company. I've been coaching for 32 years. I know how hard the job is, and I know how hard everyone works. And I know the buyers and sellers out there all think you're overpaid, and they all think they could do your job better than you. They just don't feel they have the time or the inclination to do so. So it is my passion to get agents paid their full fee, whatever that number is to you. I'm not here telling you that you have to do anything. It's your money and your choice. What I'm here to do, if you want to get paid a full fee, I'm going to coach you on how that can actually happen. And I do that regularly. And so, and the other thing that I want to bring up that you touched on, what I coach to specifically is building a repeat and referral business. And the reason I coach to that, because that's what this business is. It is a repeat and referral business. And everyone, so many agents are so enamored with the lead generation, lead conversion model. It's a bunch of nonsense. I see it all the time out there trying to get leads. And the problem with that model, it's one and done, meaning you get the lead, you generate the lead, and if you're lucky, you convert the lead. And remember, Zillow, and if we're talking about lead generation, lead conversion, we need to look at Zillow, which shows you the average conversion rate nationally is 3%. That's what the average conversion is on a cold lead, 3%. So that means you got to work with 100 leads. When they call, you've got to jump 100 times to do 3 deals on average. And the problem with that model, when you're in that model, is you bring them in the front door and you let them go out the back door. It's one deal. And what happens is you're on a treadmill going nowhere. So I am not a fan of the lead generation, lead conversion model. Now, when you start out, you have to do whatever it takes. When I got into real estate, back in the days when I walked a mile to school in the snow, 1991, when I got into real estate, I had moved from the East Coast to Southern California. So I knew nothing about the market. I didn't have a database in any way, shape, or form. And so I had to start somewhere. And I knocked on doors. I started with 25 doors a day, and I worked it up to 200 doors a day. And I'd knock 200 doors a day, every day, called expired listings every day. So I did start in that lead generation, lead conversion model. If I was doing it today, I still have to start there. However, I would have transitioned into a repeat and referral model. It's all about cultivating relationships. And one of the big things that we coach to is CRM. if you're not using your CRM, and there's great CRMs out there available to each and every one of you, then you're missing one of the tools that will give you the most leverage imaginable in real estate. And when I say cultivate relationships, it's simple. It's checking in every 90 days, checking in every 90 days, not by text, not by email, by phone, or in person. And what are you saying every 90 days? Hello. How are you doing? What's new in your life?
Why can't I do that by
not
text? Why can't I do that by text? I'm kind of a texter.
Because that's not relationship building. You can follow up with text. And I know, nobody
Isn't
wants
every
to
90 days stalking?
hold on.
I mean, that's a lot.
Hold on. I want to address that.
Roberto's customers don't want to hear from him every 90
Not
days.
every
No,
90
hold
days.
on. We're going to get
matter
into
with you,
this.
Jack?
All right. Hold on. Let me go back to the texting thing first. I know nobody wants to talk by phone. Everyone wants to text and email. Pick up the goddamn phone, everyone. If you're a real professional, pick up the phone every 90 days. And it's not a real estate call. It's a check-in call. If they want to talk real estate, they're going to bring it up. And if they don't bring it up, you don't need to bring it up. At the end of the call, you can simply say, look, if you need anything, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. 90 days is not stalking. If you're a professional, it's what you do. You stay in touch. That's what you do. Every realtor has the secret fantasy, and it's not so secret. Every realtor has the secret fantasy. They want you, all of you want everyone you know to do business with you. However, you never want to have to talk to anybody. Newsflash, that's not happening. And not only is it not stalking, they want you to check in every 90 days, and they expect you to check in every 90 days. And all the reasons, well, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to be intrusive. I don't want to sound salesy. I don't want them thinking all I'm calling is for business. All these stories that you have in your head, they're stories in your head. They have nothing to do with reality. They have nothing to do with reality. And if you doubt me, go call 10 past clients today. Call any of them. Anyone that you haven't spoken to in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And you get on the phone and you say, you're never going to believe who this is. Who is this? This is the worst real estate agent on planet Earth. And you say that specifically, and they'll all laugh and they'll all go, oh my gosh, it is so great to hear from you. How are you doing? Nonstop. And how do I know this? Because that's what my clients have to do. And so let's stop being a baby and start picking up the phone every 90 days and staying in touch with people. It's your job. It's your job.
So Sally Daly, who is on the call and runs a hugely successful team down in Vero Beach, taught me the importance of a CRM. But Sally and I have been struggling with exactly how to organize our CRMs,
All right, I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
First of all, there's 3 parts to CRM. Part 1, getting the right people in. The reason why everyone struggles with CRM, because they've treated their CRM as a dumping ground. They just throw everybody in there indiscriminately. And so you don't need more than 500, 1,000 names in your CRM at most. You can even get by with 100 or 250 if you have the right people in. So it's not about quantity. And So the first thing is, all right, I got to get the right people in. Who are the right people? Very simple criteria. Someone that I'm committed to reaching out every 90 days in person or by phone. And if I'm not going to do that, then they don't go in my CRM, period. Period. And again, this creates a real problem. Think of yourself as a real estate agent, which you are, hopefully. You've got 5,000 names in there. You don't even know who these people are. You don't even have information for most of them. And yet, if I come to you, and you're not calling any of them, by the way, what you're doing is you send out a bulk email every once in a while and hope and pray what? Someone picks up the phone and calls you. And I come to you and I say, we're cleaning it all out. Oh my gosh, the resistance that I get. I don't want to clean it out. What if they might call me at some point in time? No. Again, all nonsense in your head. So part one, get the right people in. The right people are people you're committed to reaching out every 90 days. Second part, get everyone on the right cadence every 90 days. All your past clients, all your sphere of influence every 90 days. And let me go back in part one, getting the right people in. You also have to group them and tag them in the right way. You only need 4 groups. You don't need more than 4 groups. The 4 groups are active clients. Those are people you're actively working with, buyer or seller, actively working with. Leads. These are people who've indicated they're going to be moving within a certain time frame, no more than a year. However, they're not doing something today. In your active client group, there's probably no more than 15 to 25 people. In your lead group, no more than 15 to 25 people. Past clients, only people that you've done business with that you're committed to staying in touch with. If you sold someone's home and they moved out of the area and they're never coming back and they don't know anyone here, and you don't think there's any reason to stay in touch, then we delete them. So again, past clients, only people we're committed to staying in touch with. And the fourth group is your sphere of influence. And those are people that you know and you believe if they were to do business in the future, they would call you. So those are the only 4 groups you need. Active clients, leads, past clients, sphere of influence. Second part, getting them in the right cadence. Active clients you're going to talk to frequently. I don't need to motivate you to do that. Leads are going to be on either 30-day, 60-day, 90-day cycle, depending on where they are. And then your past clients and your sphere of influence, they're both of those groups on a 90-day cycle. Part 3 of CRM is every day you have to get your, what we call your dashboard down to 0. Any good CRM program, when you turn it on, will tell you who you're supposed to call that day and what you're supposed to do. Who you're supposed to call and what you're supposed to do. And so getting your dashboard down to 0 means developing the daily discipline to make your CRM calls. And you're going to go, well, Steve, I got all this other stuff going on. Okay, great. And that's why your business is never going to grow. You're just going to tread in the same range of production, plus or minus 10%, based on what the market's doing, based on what your clients are doing. And this is a really important point that I want all of you to understand. There are 3 things that impact your production. This is true for all of you. 1, what you do every day. That has an impact on your production. and you're in complete control of what you do every day. The second thing that impacts your production, this is for everyone. The second thing that impacts your production is the market. And you have no control over what the market's doing. The third thing that impacts your production is what the clients are doing, your clients specifically. And again, you have no control over that. So if we look at these three factors and we say 33% of your production is influenced by what you do, 33% by the market, 33% by the clients, then guess what? What you do is determined by things that you have the majority of what your production is impacted 2/3 by things you have no control over. And you have to realize this.
I think it's too small a group. I think if I'm only talking to people who know me, I feel that I might be missing out. I write a column.
Rationalization.
I write a column, I put it in the paper, I email it out. And once in a while, somebody calls and says, hey, I read your column. You seem like a smart guy. Can you come price my house? Where do they live in the CRM?
Okay. All right. Say it again.
Well, so I've got outreach to the people who I don't know, who I haven't worked with before, who have not identified themselves as leads, and they're not active clients. But I've got to be out there farming somehow. And I'm not talking about buying leads, but there's got to be some place for advertising, marketing, and outreach to the people who don't know me and love me yet.
Okay. First of all, and I'll challenge anybody, go in and go through every deal that you've done. You can start this year and work backwards and see what percentage of your business is repeat and referral. And what you're going to see is at least 50%, if not 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You're going to see the majority of your business is repeat and referral. And yet, most agents spend the majority of their time, their energy, their money, their resources chasing after strangers. That's what they do, even though it only comprises a small part of their actual business. So, and when we talk about marketing and we talk about social media, all of those things should be directed at the people I know, not the people I don't know. And the first base that we want to cover, since it is, and again, you may all completely disagree with me. I've only been doing it 32 years. I've only done 60,000 hours of coaching. I've only coached more real estate agents on planet Earth than anyone else. So it is highly doubtful that I know anything. So I will give you that caveat up front. Anyway, we want to cover the base of who we know, and all our marketing, social media, all of that should be directed first at the people we know. Now, if you have that base covered, if you're getting an A in staying in touch with the people you know and the people you've done business with, then knock yourself out. Go do whatever you want. I'm good with it. What I will tell anybody, and I mean anybody, is if you do a great job of staying in touch with the people you know and the people you've done business with, you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to.
Even if you want to grow your business.
Even if you want to grow your business. And I'll tell you why. Again, the compound effect. The compound effect. Meaning, I'm not just going to do one deal with somebody. I'm going to do multiple deals with someone, plus referrals. And that's how my database grows.
The average person used to move every 5-7 years. Now, in the last few years, studies show that that's up to like 13 years. If I only rely on the people in New Canaan and maybe this, within a 5-mile radius of here who know me and are only moving every 13 years, my business might shrink.
Okay.
I
And
got to
you're
worry
absolutely
about getting the word out to all 20,000, and then I get nervous and I say maybe I should reach out to the surrounding towns too.
okay. So you're absolutely correct in terms of people are staying in their houses a lot longer. That is a fact. What you don't know, and what none of you know, what would happen if I actually stayed in touch the way I'm talking about it? If I actually did those things, none of you know. You cannot make the statement that I don't know enough people. You cannot make the statement that my business would not grow unless you've actually done that. And again, I like to look at data too. And when I look at my top clients, I see where their business is coming from. And I see all the nonsense. I coach some really big teams. I'll give you one of the teams. I mean, this is the nutso thing. And I know I'm going to the extreme. I like to go to the extremes to make examples. One of the teams I coach, they have 35 agents on the team. Last year, they did 250 transactions. They did over 350 million in sales. And guess what? That team leader had to go out and get a line of credit this year to keep things moving forward. And you know what their solution was? Well, if we sell 350 homes, then we'll be in the black. No, you won't. If you're not in the black at 250 homes, you're not going to be in the black at 350 homes. So I'm telling you, when you go do the math, this whole idea of growing your business through lead generation, lead conversion, it's highly expensive and it's not scalable. It's not scalable.
I should not buy that postcard program that Valpak's pitching me now.
Never.
I should not be signing up for Zillow.
Hold on. All right. This team, and again, I'm just talking extremes. They went out and they spent 1 year. They said, all right, we've got, and they're working a geographic area of 10,000 homes. So they've got to focus. All right, we're going to go out, and they spend $250,000 on a postcard program for the year. You know how far it moved the needle?
I hope it paid for itself.
Zero. No, move the needle, zero. All right. So again,
but let me ask you, Steve, that used to work for a lot of brokers. Has that it's no longer postcards. It's now if someone does, an Instagram thing or has that?
Well, you got when someone says it worked for me, I would challenge if you really did a deeper dive and took a look at what was actually going on. Because I do it all the time. I ask people, show me specifically how this program worked. And, I have a lot of agents spend a lot of money on marketing, And at best, what they can say is, oh, people say to me, we see you everywhere. That's not very scientific. So again, most of you will probably completely disagree with me. I'm just sharing with you, through my actual coaching practices and going in and dissecting people's business and looking at where the business is actually coming from. And remember, every real estate agent, you all think the same way. You all think this way. All of you. And the stories you tell yourself, they are universal. They're not unique to any one of you on the call. I hear it all the time.
But I gotta believe that the bucket is leaking. and I've got to do something to continue to fill the bucket. Not true?
But yeah, the bucket's leaking. You're exactly right, because you put holes in it. If you plug up the bucket, it's not going to leak.
But when my
And
clients
then your bucket,
die and move
your
away,
bucket starts to overflow because it's no longer leaking. And the leaking is you're not reaching out and you're not staying in touch.
okay.
And shame on you. Look at you. Are you going to tell me that your clients don't love you? Are you going to tell me that 99.9% of your clients don't love you?
My clients love me.
Of course they love you, and you don't stay in touch.
I
Shame
don't.
on you. You sit there with the arrogance of, oh, they'll call me. Why should they call you?
All right. One of my clients is on the call now. Well, two of them. So, so ask them if they love me. But one of them says she found me through an app. So these are people.
Wait a second. Great. But that's not, okay. I like to keep things simple. What I coach to is an inch wide, mile deep. What most agents are doing, what you're describing, is a mile wide, inch deep. Throw as much up against the wall and hope and pray something sticks. And what I would say to each and every one of you, you look at your own production, and if it's in a range plus or minus 10% every year, because you're all working the same, you all have a level of effort that you give. You all have a level of effort that you give, and the top agents give a great effort. I'm never faulting people for their effort. However, if you look at your business, it's not growing. It's not growing. It's staying in a range, and when the market's good and the clients are active, you're at the higher end of the range. And when the market's not good and the clients aren't active, you're at the lower end of the range.
All right. I want to switch gears. I want to help Roberto Cabrera. You wrote a book called The Real Estate Team Playbook.
Yes.
I'm a believer in teams. You're a believer in teams. For some reason, Roberto and I had this conversation, and he goes, I know deep down that I might, that teams are good, but finding the right person to work with is really hard. So can we talk about teams and get Roberto with the program?
Okay. I'm very opinionated when it comes to teams. I'm going to sound like a complete jerk, so bear with me. I had the great fortune. I played 4 years in the NFL. And I played for Don Shula, the Miami Dolphins. I played for Don Shula, the winningest coach in NFL history. And we went to a Super Bowl in 1982, Super Bowl 17. And I had that experience. And I was part of a team. That's a team. That's my background. That's in my DNA. I was involved playing sports my whole life until a career-ending injury. One of the things, and Roberto, you'll love this, okay? One of the things I say all the time, if you want to work harder, if you want to make less, and you want more stress, start a team. It works every time. It works every time. And it always gets a laugh because I'm hitting a chord. However, I'm not joking. Most teams in real estate are teams in name only. They're not a team. They're a team leader like you, John, dragging everybody on your back. You're spending all the money, you're spending the time, and you're doing the bulk of production. And I'm starting a new program on June 20th, a 4-week intensive on team leadership for this very reason. For this very reason. There's nothing wrong with the concept of team. However, being a rainmaker agent and being a team leader are two completely different things. And most team leaders are not team leaders. They're rainmakers, period. And they don't understand why their team is not performing. Well, there's a reason their team is not performing. You're a shitty leader. That's why. I got to curse a little bit to get everyone's attention here, all right? You can bleep me out. So here's what I say to you as a team leader. If you want a true measurement of your leadership abilities, look at your total team production, subtract out your individual production, then subtract out the production of team members where you supplied the lead, and whatever is left, whatever morsel is left, that's a reflection of your true leadership abilities. So if your team is not producing, there's one place to look: in the mirror.
I'm going to push back. Let's say it's a third,
Okay.
third. Let's say a third is business I did. A third I referred because I'm better than average at rainmaking. And a third they generate on their own. Let's just posit that as an assumption. Okay. I would say that because I'm a better than average rainmaker, I surround myself with people who are less than average rainmakers. They want to service customers. They don't want to go out there and make rain. They want to be in the service business. So they're probably better at service than me. So when the phone rings and I refer them and I introduce them and I help them cultivate a relationship and then they execute great service, I consider that a successful team model because I can't do all the business myself. I can't be a Roberto.
All right.
Who's both a rainmaker and great service.
Right. So you bring up very valid points. The first thing, if you're going to start a team, you have to look at, why am I doing this? What is the purpose? And if the purpose is to make more money, you're in trouble. You're in trouble right there. Now, making more money can be a byproduct of having a great team. However, it's the wrong motivation. Because if you're going to have a team, you have to have a sincere interest in empowering other people to succeed. That really has to be something you want to do, because people are not going to line up and do what you want them to do just because you want them to do it. One of the big challenges in real estate is there's not a line of super talented people waiting outside your door to join your team. Finding top talent is really, really difficult. In the NFL, for example, where they spend millions, I mean millions of dollars scouting, interviewing, everything, drills, putting people through the ringer. With their first round draft picks, they only get it right 20% of the time. And they're doing everything they can do. So it's really difficult to find some top talent. So in what you're describing, you've got to be clear about what the end goal is. To me, the reason to have a real estate team is because at some point I want to get out. And I don't want my last deal to be my last paycheck. And this is something that is going to be the thing I work on most going forward in my coaching practice, helping people set up a succession plan. This is not a new idea in any way. It's been around since I've been around in real estate. Exit strategy. What are you doing? However, no one has executed it, or very, very few have executed. In my 32 years of coaching all the people I've had, I've only had maybe 3 people do something that was, half baked at best. So John, how long you been in real estate?
15 years.
15 years. So at the end of year 30 or 35 or 40, it would be such a shame for your last deal to be your last paycheck. Or it'd be such a shame to say, well, I can't stop because my ego is all wrapped up in this and I don't know who I would be without doing this. I want you, whether it's 10 years from now or 20 years from now, for you to have the option to say, you know what, I can step away and I'm still getting a very good paycheck.
Aside from exit, let's talk about empowering others, because I do think that's fair. I have surrounded myself with people that I like working with, and I feel that I can focus on the things I'm good at and allow other people on the team to focus on the things that they're good at. And our production collectively is up and individually is up as a result of this year over year and trending over the last several years. So I do think we can make money and empower people and have a better quality of life. I think quality of life and low stress is part of what you talk about.
Right. You can absolutely do that. However, you're not going to do that without developing your leadership abilities, without putting some serious effort into how you're structuring things as a great head coach. So you have people you like, people you want to continue to work with. So your number one job as their head coach, not the rainmaker, as their head coach, your number one job is to make sure you're doing everything you can to position them to be successful. So you've got to be looking at what is their business model? What are they doing to generate business? And if we believe in the repeat and referral model, then we've got to be working with them to make sure that they're using a CRM, that it's set up rightly, set up right. They have the right people on the right cadence, and they're making their calls every day. And I'm working with them on just like getting over their resistance to doing all these things. So yes, you can do that. You can be, the goal is I've got to be working with them every day. They've got to feel like they were accountable. As I get ready, and I want you to hear this, as I get ready to do this new leadership program, I've been going back and watching every video I can on Don Shula, because I want to go back and, bring all this stuff top of mind. What was it that I so appreciated about him as a leader? Because he was the winningest coach in NFL history. He was a true leader. He did it over 33 years. And one of the things that I remember vividly, there's 2 things that I want you to think about, John. Do you get excited every day to work with your team? Because that's critical. You have to get excited about what you believe they can do and how you can help them. And conversely, they need to be excited about working with you. They need to be they need to buy in to your culture. When we talk about team, there's 6 elements: self-leadership, culture, process, people, training and support, and accountability. And so you want to understand what these 6 factors are and look at, okay, what am I doing in each of these areas so I can raise these people up? And so if you're doing that, if you feel like you got the right people and you feel like they're producing at a level where you're actually making money, because what I see on most teams, the split is all wrong. The split is all wrong, meaning you're paying out way too much to the agent What I see most team leaders do is they undervalue what they're bringing to the table, and the team members are overvaluing what their contribution is. And all you're really doing is running a brokerage, and brokerages don't make money, period. End of story. And so the last thing you want to duplicate is the brokerage model. And so, yes, you can have service people. You just have to make sure the production is at a certain level. There's process. Everyone's following the process, and that the pay structure makes sense. Because if you're not making money, then you're stressing out. And if you're stressing out, you're not going to be a great team leader.
All right, there's that word. We talked before the call about mindset, stress, and time blocking. I don't know that we have enough time to do all three. Roberto, what do you want to hear about?
Stress.
I thought so.
No, but actually, I'm more interested in the structure, like something like time blocking.
Time blocking, there's a couple key things, and agents just struggle tremendously with time blocking because they think, if a buyer wants to see a property, what do I got to do? I got to go now. If somebody wants to write an offer and negotiate an offer, I've got to do it when? Now. If there's a physical inspection, it's got to be done when?
Yesterday.
Now. What you have to understand, or this is what I coach to anyway, there's two parts to what you do. There are the things that you have to do as an agent to grow your business. You've got to do these things: mindset, time blocking, CRM, process management, mastering tactical empathy, and knowing your numbers. I've got to do these things every day to grow my business. And I got to time block those things. I have to do them on a certain day at a certain time, and I've got to be consistent. I have to have a routine. And all of this can be done by 12 noon. All the things that I have to do for my business can be done by 12 noon. Then the rest of the day, I can do what? Show property, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, do inspections, do all the business type stuff. However, most agents don't look at it that way. They only look at the showing of the property, the appointments, all that stuff. What they don't realize is you have things that you need to be doing every day if you actually want to have a business that is sustainable, scalable, and ultimately stress-free. When I master my process, then the rest is out of my control.
I'm a little stressed right now because I got to do a few things on the below the line, the doing the business, showing a few properties, writing a few offers, writing a few proposals this week, and I'm behind on those things. Okay. So I'm stressed out right now.
So remember, you can never be behind on anything. You can never be behind on anything. Again, when it comes to time blocking, you have to remember all things don't matter equally. All things don't matter equally. The goal every day is not to get everything done. That's not the goal every day. The goal every day is to get what is most important done. And there's only one thing that's most important. So right now, as you're doing this mental exercise in your head, what you need to do is say, okay, of all these things I think I need to do, what's most important? And the most important thing is always the most important thing to get done. So if I get that most important thing done, then I've gotten done the most important thing. And if I have time left, then I say, okay, now what's most important? The moment I start thinking, well, I got to do all these things, then I'm going to be totally distracted and I'm not going to get anything done. I'm going to sit there I'm going to spend my whole day trying to figure out, should I go here? Should I go there? When I went, my entire day is time blocked. I start at 5, I end at 7. Every half hour is booked. For me, that's total freedom. And the reason it's total freedom is because when I wake up in the morning, I'm never wondering, what do I need to do today? And I have appointments that run all day. I get my work done in between appointments. Give me 1 minute, I can get work done. Give me 5 minutes and I get a lot of work done. Give me a half hour, oh my gosh, I can get everything done. And so I do all my work in the little gaps that surface during the day. Remember, work expands into the time you give it. So if you give yourself 8 hours to get something done, it takes 8 hours. If I give that same thing 4 hours, I get it done in 4 hours. If I give that same thing 4 minutes, I get it done in 4 minutes. And you start learning how to work. See, agents, they don't have a start time to their day and they don't have an end time to their day. If you're working after 7 p.m., you are running a highly inefficient business. No, none of you should be working after 7. Probably shouldn't be working after 6.
I love that. It sounds like you're giving me permission to actually get all my work done right after this call and go home.
I'm absolutely doing that, and you'll be amazed. 2 things that we briefly mentioned stress. You want to reduce stress, put a start time to your day and an end time to your day. You want to do stress, put a message on your voicemail. Yes, if you're calling after 6 p.m., all calls will be, if you're calling, let me back up for a second. If you're calling after 6 p.m. or on a Saturday, whatever your day off is, we haven't even gotten into that. Let's just say it's Saturday. If you're calling after 6 p.m. or calling on a Saturday, all calls will be returned the following business day. You do that, your life changes. You talk about cutting down stress, that cuts down on stress dramatically.
I think that's
I think that's impossible.
All of what you've talked.
I think it's impossible with my clients to not to
only because you've trained them that way.
No, but they're not available. People who work on a trading floor, et cetera, they're not available till at night.
Again, I didn't start yesterday. All right. There's not a single objection that you can throw out at me that I haven't heard. And I'm not sitting here saying I'm a know-it-all. All I'm saying, all these objections that you think are objections are not, because you've never done it any other way. Of course, if you answer your phone at night, what are the clients going to do? They're going to call you at night. When you start having that message on there, miraculously, guess what? They stop calling.
I have one question. What about 120 days?
90 days.
Yes, Coach.
You're actually right. I got yelled at by a client who says, I can never reach you on the phone. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm always available on my phone. And anytime you leave a message, I call you back within 24 hours. And I said, and if you need to reach me immediately, you can send me a text. And I always return the text within 2 minutes, within 5 minutes. But I live in a town with a crappy cell phone signal, and I don't always get your voicemail. And like you said, I'm time blocking. I don't always have time to return the call in the 5 minutes you expect it. So you're right. I like this. We set expectations, he and I said, right, I will always return your call within a couple hours.
And again, real estate agents, they wear the term busy as a badge of honor. What a bunch of nonsense. Oh, I'm available 24/7. You can reach me whenever. Okay. Yes, he's desperate. Yes, she's desperate being 24/7. Again, let's keep things in perspective. None of you are solving solving for world peace. None of you are curing cancer. In real estate, there are no real emergencies. Nobody's dying. Houses don't bleed. Reality check. They don't need to hear back from you in 5 minutes. And in fact, the last thing you ever want to do is return a call to an upset client. It's the last thing you want to do. Let them sit with it for 24 hours. They'll figure it out. Oh, why'd you call me? Oh, I don't even remember. How many times has that happened? All right. The last thing, when they're worked up, you are not calling them back.
I love that. This is a great way to end the show. Do not call your clients back because they might be mad. Give them some time.
Absolutely not. You're not going to have a good conversation.
I love it. All right,
Steve, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
this has been a great show. We're going to have you back, and I think we're going to dig down into team playbook a little bit more next time. But this has been tremendous. Here. You have any predictions, final words? You get the last word, Steve.
In terms of?
Well, the industry
here's my prediction. All of you have to get a lot better at what you do if you want to keep making the money you want to make. What's going on right now is going to put a lot more pressure on every agent to get better. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And I think, again, for those agents who are more skilled, there's a way to leverage everything that's going on to your advantage. For those agents who don't have the same level of skill, use this as a wake-up call that you need to get better at what you do. Nobody wants to take a pay cut. Nobody.
I think you're right, and I think intuitively we all know that we got to work smarter, not harder. And so I love it. All right, final words. I'm going to say, everybody, please, if you love the show, share it with your friends and hit like and give us a review. Go visit Grace Farms, drink their coffee, either sign up for some performance coaching. I think we just learned that on June 26th?
June 20th.
June 20. He's got some coaching coming up. And then we've got the books. Full Fee Agent, one of my favorites of the last year. Start with that one. And with that,
let me just say to everybody, if it's probably going to be nobody. I do 3 live calls a day. If you want to sit in for 14 days, we do a 14-day free trial, 3 live calls a day. Just email support@performancecoaching.com, put free trial in the subject line, and we will follow up with you.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you all. Nice being here.
Thanks.
Thank you, Roberto.
Of course,
All
Skipper.
the best to everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.